Hello and welcome to episode 152 of Michael and Ivanka's Grand Podcast, a weekly conversation where we figure out what we think about absolutely everything, one thing at a time. My name is Michael Forrest.
And I'm Ivanka Majic.
And this week we are talking about confidence.
Confidence.
Because, you know, we're obviously experts in confidence, being confident enough to release a podcast every week in which we talk for an hour, sort of unplanned.
With no preparation.
Preparation.
Who needs that
just
shit?
assume that it's going to be something anyone's going to want to listen to. That's pretty confident.
Confident. Stupid. Cocky. All sorts of variation.
Confidence versus arrogance. What hurts confidence? False confidence.
Gaining confidence. Losing confidence.
How do we get here?
Oh dear. So many things.
Yeah, just sort of that sort of gubbins.
Yeah.
So we're going to be so efficient about this. And, video episodes, Patreon. Let's have the music. How's it going, Ivanka?
It's going very well. I did a 2-week Health for Leather project, which is almost finished and delivered. That involved being very, very, very tired, which was quite hard on me.
Oh,
it was awful.
No.
But I've survived, and that's good. And so next week I start a whole new thing, which should involve less tiredness. Because it's slightly more limited hours. I'm blown away by the fact that I had a computer delivered for my new work, which is a computer.
I remember those days
when people provided you with equipment to do your job.
Is it still under IR35 though?
I haven't got a clue. It's an
It might be outside IR35 actually if you're using a company laptop. Not sure though. Can't get very far.
Oh, that's true.
It's like if you're a plumber using your own tools.
No, but I can't use my computer because it can't be securified enough for security. Anyway, the other things that have happened.
Ivanka is now a spy.
I am. The other thing that's happened, if I try and get my lefts and my right, is I've got a new shelf in my office.
Oh yeah, so yeah.
She's got little plants there. Plants that we've planted into painted tin cans. So it looks quite colourful, but it's actually reusing rubbish.
Succulents.
And we've planted some succulents in it.
Succulents are very popular in the synth community to
Why?
the point that because whenever you have like a stream or a recording where you're jamming on your modulars to sort of brighten it up, you put a couple of plants in the shot, and then you get these the Saki synth people going, "Oh, look at my new synth setup," and it's just some pot plants. Because it's become quite the cliche in the electronic music scene.
Well, that must be hilarious.
There's a little.
So, and then in amongst all of this, the thing that led us, in fact, inspired the train of thought that led us to the topic for this week's conversation. There's a little conversation I had with my small child only last night when my husband walked over he's got a new down jacket and a feather was peeping through, so he tugged at it a bit. He was coming to me, he goes, "Oh, Ivanka, is this one that you need to fix?" And my 5-year-old just looked at it and went, "Daddy, you just need to cut it off and stop fiddling." And she was entirely right, and I told her that she was entirely right, and we did in fact follow her instructions, and we proved her to be right. So, I made sure to acknowledge this moment of rightness.
And that was a confidence story.
I think so.
Just like you've given her the confidence to believe in what she sees, the evidence of her eyes.
Confidence to speak out, not to be, "Mummy and Daddy are talking now." Children should be seen and not heard. Because I do think my father did used to do that to me. So he used to, "Hang on a minute, I think she's got a point. What's that?" Or like, you know what I mean? But he was into family debates and debating, but there was like, hang on. What, Ivanka, what did you have to say? Oh, yes, okay, yeah, that's a good point. So
when you said do that to me, I assumed that you meant like tell you to like ignore
tell
you
you
or
to
something.
shut up.
But you
Oh,
actually
no,
meant,
the opposite.
You meant the opposite of. So he gave
yeah.
that to you, the platform.
He gave me
in a
the
way.
microphone.
Now, what is that you keep being distracted by?
I'm sure I heard a noise, and I was wondering if somebody came in. But if you didn't hear it, then it was maybe the dog. So I'll shut the door.
Video viewers, you're going to see furtive glances to the right as Ivanka finishes a story.
What? Oh, yes. Anyway, there you go. So, how are you, Michael? What's up in your week?
My week has been characterised by, Saturday I had a plan to go and do a live music stream and maybe record some music on twitch.tv/Michael Forrest, and I thought. And I was really I didn't want to do it. I felt really anxious about doing it. I didn't know what it was going to be. And then I did it and actually had a really nice time. And I thought I could do that a lot, I think I could do that a lot. So what I'd been doing before, I've done 8 episodes of this, which is like me sort of trying to play a sort of an hour-long recording that I can then work out to, or maybe other people can use. So it's got that sort of... that it has to have that certain feel to it so that you can work out to it. So I felt like that would be a focusing thing. But then this time I was like, I'm actually going to try composing and putting stuff together. And then my idea has been something sustainable I can do with music is maybe I do these little exploratory music creation things in my studio where I've got everything plugged in, and then people that sponsor me on Patreon can get all the individual parts of it and just download those, and because some of my things are quite nice sounding and so people can get that, and I'm hoping that will turn into something that that I can keep up and maybe get onto that release a video every day cadence that YouTube
praises
wants you to do. So I haven't quite managed to get that going yet, but I'm sort of pulling everything together, and it's a lot of things hopefully coming in. And actually, I think I'd noticed I'd started to just sort of flag at about 4 o'clock most days anyway. So if that then becomes I play on the internet some music for 2 hours, there's sort of no harm done to the rest of my productivity. And it really all comes back down to this. I'm trying to just... Every time I think about what I'm going to do this week, I'm like, is that something that is how I want my life to be? Is this a picture of a future that I would enjoy? And I keep sort of coming up with, not quite. If it's, okay, I've got to work on an app, fix some bugs. It's I do like doing a bit of that, but you need to sort of go as you mean to go on. How does that expression go? Start as you mean to go on, sort of thing. And just finding that thing that you can see yourself continuing to do that will continue to be rewarding. I've been just looking for that after a year of just trying to get apps out and fix things and kind of chip into the technical debt that I've created for myself. But yeah, so I'm feeling quite excited about the music this week. So that's the main thing I'll say about it. And then I'll probably put one of the little clips in here.
Oh, you should. There's succulents in it though, Michael.
There aren't.
Well...
Have you always been confident, Ivanka?
No.
Are you confident now?
About some things. I think I'm. I don't think
the crux of it, isn't it?
I don't think I'm necessarily more confident. I think I am less afraid of being. Oh, hello, dogs. My
Dog
dogs,
time.
on the other hand, they're very confident in their barks. I'm. Yeah, one moment.
While Ivanka disappears off to deal with those dogs, I'm going to continue to talk. If you like the podcast, why not go to patreon.com, support it. You can watch us on video. You can see this. I'm currently looking at an empty frame with a pink chair, the throw on it. You can also come to goodtohear.co.uk/whatever. Changes. There's Ivanka back in the room. The dog is coming into the room.
Don't be.
What else could you do?
Sorry, Michael.
Tell your friends about the podcast. All right, Ivanka's back.
Right. Hello.
I just did a little advert break.
Did you?
While you were doing
Good.
that. Yeah, I just told the listeners about some things they could do while you were organising your dog.
So yes. Dogs.
Anyway.
So yes, I think slowly I'm beginning to be less afraid of appearing stupid. I hate. Let me be very clear. I do not like anyone thinking I'm stupid. I really don't. That is the truth of my life. And there's many things that I don't. Yeah, that's basically what it all boils down to. So then I'm afraid to say something. I'm afraid to write a sentence. I did a thing that I tweeted the other day, and it was really funny. My tweet, I thought, except I put a bloody typo in it, which bad, and I was awful. And then I thought, I'm just going to leave it. Because it would have been so much funnier if it didn't have a mistake in it. And then this morning I took the car to the car mechanic, and he phones me up. He goes, "Why have you put these tyres in the boot?" I was like, "Aren't those the winter tyres?" He's like, "No, you've already got the winter tyres on it." I was like, well, let's put this one down to she wasn't thinking and she didn't look. But, I think So, in answer to your question.
It's your reaction to those situations that is a measure of your confidence, isn't it?
And I think that's what's slowly over the years I've worked on but just because I got that wrong doesn't mean I am wrong and don't deserve I'm just entirely wrong.
I can present it as a natural quirk of the human brain rather than some sort of flaw in my own character. And obviously, as a man, I will have much more experience of explaining away any little mistakes. No, I'm going to take full manness responsibility, but I have to say, I think when I was small, the sort of cleverness was about the only thing I had any confidence in, to the point that it was like everything to me. And then one of the first times I didn't get 100% on something. No, the first time all the ticks, I thought I didn't have enough ticks on something, even though they were all ticks, and it was just that they didn't line up. That was it's so fierce, my defense of that. I was like, what's happened here? But then my other attitude is when, I didn't get a high mark in something for the first time. I didn't get 100% for the first time at school in something, and almost crying in front of everyone just because it was because so much of my confidence was bound up in that. At least that type of perfectionism, and then that feeling of you do make a mistake. Well, with my younger siblings, I was able to maintain this impenetrable, I don't know what you call it, unassailable sort of rightness the entire time. Even probably I was gaslighting the hell out of them at some points, but being the big brother, I think I was able to get away with that a lot at home. But then as that eroded at school, it led to sort of quite a split level of confidence. So the confidence I had at home was completely missing from my school life because it was predicated on this unassailability. So that was some good $5 words there. Yeah, confidence counts in those moments where you don't quite meet your own expectations.
Yeah,
I think that's one aspect of it that we've just.
I think that a couple of examples this week that I think are useful for this conversation. So I was having a conversation with somebody I'd never worked with before, who is, at least on the surface of it, more junior than me in the same field. I was saying how, I'd been really impressed, and, you know what you're doing, you should speak up more, sort of thing. Don't, get out there, you're good. And because I never miss an opportunity for a little pep talk, if possible. And then I wonder, why do they want to hear from me? I mean, who the fuck am I to tell somebody they're doing well? Don't worry, I say all that out loud as well. But anyway, so I gave her that. And then she talked about one of the nice things. We were all on this super fast project. And she's like, what we've really enjoyed, she was talking, so 2 juniors working with 2 seniors. She said the 2 juniors, we had a chat with each other. And we were like, it's been really nice to listen to, everyone's been thinking out loud. So not going, hello, I have concluded the conclusions and this is what you must all think. It's more like, hear me out here for a second. I just need to work this through. And I think if you need to have at least the confidence to start talking, because the chances are you probably have something to add. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's enough people who are idiots who don't question themselves, just no reservations about just spouting shit. And it's kind of, I don't want to be disrespectful to my audience. Like, if I'm in a meeting or somebody, it's like, I'm sure you all already know this, but has anyone thought of, or one of the things that maybe I have missed this, but type sentences. But you got to say it. If you think you probably do know it, you're probably right.
And you need to work with people that will, even if, like, we're watching this, it's called I discovered this mini series that I really wanted to see, because it's the Comey story, the James Comey thing, the Comey Rule, I think it's called, and it's a 2-part mini series, and it's but it's like a depiction of Donald bleeped as he is, like the sort of mafia don that he is, like there hasn't really been a sort of non-comedic representation of him, but really I really was like drawn to this thing of just seeing the raw power and the raw narcissism without that kind of like let's laugh at it kind of thing attached to it. So but it's actually like we've only seen the first half of it, and not the second half, but there was a moment in that where you've got James Comey that is played by Jeff Daniels, and he's in a meeting, and one of the FBI people starts saying something and says, no, abort kind of thing. And he kind of says, no, come on, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your thinking. And he sort of gets it out of her. And then you see that she's kind of continues to have that confidence to speak up for the rest of their relationship, because he just sort of teased. He said, look, no, don't censor yourself. Don't sort of cut yourself. You obviously had a thought. Like, I want to hear the thoughts. And this is when they're deciding what to do about the Hillary Clinton emails and, all that stuff. So that's what you reminded me of there. I don't know if it adds anything. But I did want to shoehorn in a reference to that TV show as well. To that miniseries, because I'm quite excited to see this menacing.
But I don't think he's a shoehorn, because I think there is this two sides of it. There's your own confidence, then being aware of the confidence of people around you. And I think, I don't know anyone who isn't full of self-doubt, or at least nerves, or
Well, there is one person that we all know.
Sorry, there's no human that I like and admire who isn't filled with an element of self-doubt, or elements of self-doubt and self-questioning, and all those are right and good and proper, I think, because that's how you learn. That's how you go, I'm not sure what, but just because you have doubt doesn't mean that you should not proceid. That
doesn't mean you shouldn't be confident just because you're not maybe 100. And here's the sort of spectrum of like, it's just my opinion, therefore it doesn't have much value, of low confidence. I'll let the barks go. Oh, my Lord.
They didn't do this last week, did they? Who are you barking at?
Oh, my Lord. This is chaos.
I've chucked them out now. Sorry about that.
I think there are two sort of chronic ends to the spectrum of confidence.
Oh yeah, two chronic ends. Yeah,
two ends of the sort of chronic sort of overconfidence or lack of confidence. One is, my opinion is worth nothing, so I'm not going to say it because it has no value because I'm saying it. And at the other end is, because I say it, it must be true. Because I'm saying it and I'm brilliant and I have too much confidence, I just think that whatever I say is right. I have all this experience, so therefore, and like just no awareness that you might even have anything wrong with what you're thinking. And obviously both of us lie on that end of the spectrum now. Otherwise, why would we do the game? No, but it's important to find a happy medium between there. Yeah. And
I think you're but I think you've also got to know. This came up in conversation day in a worky setting again today, but with the other end of the spectrum, talking about somebody who is incredibly clever and qualified being terrified of presenting because of who they were presenting to. And I just went, I sort of went, so? Because in this work setting, in my professional setting, I think, well, you've paid me to give you the answer to the question. You know, you've asked me a question, I've done some work and I have an answer to the question. I've not finished my job until I've told you the answer. And I don't know if you're going to like to hear it or it's the right, maybe it is the wrong answer, but given the time you've given, this is the answer I've come up with. Until I've transmitted that answer, I don't know. And so I was a bit like, and then somebody went, oh, it's a rare skill. And I was like, well, it's part of my job. It's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, there's this. I think you touched on this a little bit, but there's this thing where you can easily forget that just because someone's more powerful than you doesn't mean that they know everything about your field of expertise. Like, you've got all this deep knowledge of one field, I think we have this idea that if they're more powerful or if they have more authority, that they somehow know all of the stuff that we know.
Yeah.
But that's obviously impossible. You're like, you've got they're just different directions.
I think I weirdly see it almost like a gift. You're really powerful. Here, have something you can use. I found out this thing. It's going to be really useful. Use it. Have it.
I had that sending demos to record labels. That I just would assume that because someone had a record label, they must know everything I know and know more about it, and anything of mine that they listen to, they would immediately see every single problem or hear every single problem that I know that I'm worried there is with it. And of course, like, the reality is, like, no, I'm the one that's made this. I'm the one that's been close to it. I just need to, like, communicate what it is to them so that they've got something to sort of latch onto to start with. I'm giving my 20 years ago self some advice now, but a long time too late. You have to sort of help them understand how to look at it. And it's insane to think that they would have anything like the relationship with it that you do, like, straight away. Like, you have to listen to it like 100 times to be able to get to that level of scrutiny that the creator has. So yeah, that's I've tuned Ivanka out with my record label talk. She's like, I've got nothing to add to that. That's artist wankiness. Artist's wank.
Maybe there's a step to the side in a way that I always. So there's professional confidence, which I think comes with practice, and then there's something you like doing and you sort of want other people to like because you want them to hear or you want them to, and that's slightly different. And then there's like personal confidence. Like, I was thinking about this as we were going through. It's like, I think I'm a bit lucky as a woman that I've never thought the most interesting thing about me is how I look. So when I have been offended, when people have said things about me, uncomplimentary things about how I look, I was like, oh well, okay, but look how interesting I am. It's like, but I'm so clever. It's like, because people say some shitty things. Boys say, men. Well, I don't know. I only have experience of sort of heterosexual games, and they're like, I think that, I've had a guy in a bar walk up to me and said something about enjoying. I don't even know how to use the word, actually. It's like, I like fucking fat girls. They're always so grateful.
Someone said that to you?
Yeah. And, I've many things. I'm not fat. I've never been fat. I mean, I'm not a waif. But I was like,
jeez.
I was like,
charming.
Lucky you.
Presumably you immediately took him up on his
I was just like, hey, I can't
offer.
wait to have sex with you, my friend.
Thanks for that, neg.
But people say, and you're just like, if And I do think it's kind of luck that, like, these superficial things that you really can't do. You know, this is who I am. This is how I look. But there's other things I can prepare for, and I can practice. Like if I'm presenting in front of a crowd, I can rehearse in my head. I can do my homework. I can make sure that I've, you know, done some preparation, unlike my podcast. But, you know, it's like, though I think in some ways I prepare every day for this podcast, Michael, because everything I do, I sit there and ask myself, should this go in the podcast? No, I don't. but do you know what I mean? Like there is this sort of, maybe there's a bit like the gratitude thing, being aware of the things that you know are uniquely you and are sort of good about you or nice about you. Are things you appreciate. I don't know.
Fuck, I'm so bored of lockdown. Fuck, I'm so bored of lockdown, I'm so bored of lockdown. But I'm not gonna go outside because I am not terrible. Fuck, you are bored of lockdown. Fuck, you must be bored of lockdown. Must be bored of lockdown. Fuck, I'm too also bored of lockdown.
Not to sort of moan too much, but I always like I because I lacked so much confidence in my goodness and any sort of attractiveness. I just thought no one would ever want to come near me, kind of thing. As when I was younger, just and then when I see pictures of myself, I'm like, why? I wish someone could have given me a little bit of confidence in my. I just felt like I was a tiny little short, tiny, ugly thing, you know, that nobody would want anything to do with, and that carried through, carried through for a long time, and you know, that's sometimes what I think maybe a mother would have sort of fostered a little bit of confidence in my appearance, because it was always something that I felt was completely, because I had bad skin when I was a teenager as well, and that was just a constant source of like anxiety, and I didn't want to show my face to anyone, and I was just constantly frustrated that things wouldn't go away, and it would too scared to sort of go to a doctor. Like when I went to a doctor and said, can you do something, and they were like, gave me this thing and it like fixed it, I was like, why didn't I do that? Like, and I sort of wishing I had some sort of mother person, someone that would have kind of forced me to go and deal with this stuff, and not it was not something that anyone was
preoccupied
coaching me
with,
on, or like helping me with at all, because I think my dad's got his own attitude. My spectrumy father, to put it is not a source. It was not someone that helped me with that, and then that caused me a lot of problems for myself in terms of that sort of confidence to just be a human. So all of my confidence was carried up in, well, people have said that I'm good at playing music, and people have said that I'm clever, so that's where I'll put all my eggs. And hopefully, if I can get famous enough as an artist, then I'll know that the girls like me, because they'll be groupie kind of girls. I'll know, because they'll know who I am already, and I don't have to kind of go through that having to be a person and having to have enough confidence in myself.
Tricky.
Yeah.
But I think the idea that you can gain or work on your confidence all on your own, and that it's on you, is also a big ask. The way you become confident, like having somebody that you trust, that you can go, what am I going to do about this thing? Or what am I going to, I had acne as an adult and I did go to a doctor, but I just stopped. I realised since then I hardly ever look in a mirror because I'm just like, what's the point? All I'm going to see is this, like horrible outbreak on my face. So I'm not, I'm not interested. So I sort of, but it's like in all of these things, getting support, asking for help, I think.
Yeah.
On all.
Getting support, and also like not turning to like drugs and alcohol. It's like I had like Jimothy, like one of his lines in one of his more recent tracks is about cocaine, and one of the lines is just like, because everybody's shy, and like that's why it's so prevalent, because everyone's too shy, everyone hasn't got the confidence, so they have to sort of like overcompensate with chemical means, and then you just turn into not a different version of yourself. That maybe either if it's alcohol, I think it reduces your faculties in other ways, and you like someone, and then other things you need a little bit of self-doubt, a little bit of kind of humility to be able to communicate with someone else.
Cultural though, and about manners and politeness. I don't know that every culture has this same like reserved approach to a conversation, where they kind of because I mean, again, this 2 weeks has been like an accelerated, like it's a project that you could have done over a year, and it's like chosen the slides and it's like amplified everything. But even having a meeting and knowing when to shut up is also really, there's that sort of that shyness thing. I think this expert that I was talking to this morning, who was nervous about presenting, he was nervous about presenting because of the level of people that he's presenting to. But I do think it's kind of British culture to not speak until spoken to, or not wait to be invited. And I presented to ministers, I presented to, and of course I get nervous, of course I feel sick, there's no, do you know what I mean? Of course I don't sleep, of course, but that still doesn't mean I don't have the right to show up and say what I've been asked, give the answer to the question I've been asked. It's so.
Yeah, I mean, I remember actually one of my first bosses, he said, like, we had like the 3-month thing, and it was like, how are you with other people kind of question. He was like, well, I felt like I'm too shy and I don't talk to people. But his take on it was like, well, I think it's good you sort of want to feel out the room before you start throwing things in there. Because like I don't want to. I mean, my problem was when I get drunk, I just come in with all my extreme, like, challenging opinions about things with no sort of leader, with no sort of, like, taking people on the journey. And I think, like, if you do sort of feel strongly about certain things, you do need to sort of get a feel for the room and find your ins and, like, work it out. And it takes a bit of time. And it's not necessarily shyness. It can also just be it's just sensible.
I think it's wise. Yeah. Definitely wise. But there's a difference between that level of wisdom and then, I'm going to present. Who am I to present to these people?
Oh, yeah. Well,
you're a massive fucking expert. Get up there. If you don't speak up, some blowhard with some half-baked opinions gonna
do not
nudge
mind.
in. So
yeah.
Blowhard is a word that I did not use in my tweet, by the way, my beep tweet, because my friend was like, put in. I was like, I don't want to be rude. It'll go the wrong way.
Oh God, I did. That is something that, like, quitting alcohol did help me. Like, I had to learn how to be my whole self without any crutches, and that like took me a year or so to get the hang of. But like, that's one of the things I'm most happy about the quitting alcohol. There used to be certain types of conversation or certain types of like parts of myself that could only come out, or certain like brave things that I might try, like dates and that kind of thing, that I would only do if I had that little crutch of some alcohol in there, that I came to without the alcohol, and suddenly I just felt like a much fuller person, because so much of that was like behind that was sort of gated off. with drinking, even just a tiny bit, but it was like I had this thing of like I can't do that unless I've had a pint kind of thing, and those things are just completely off limits. It's now like, well, now I haven't got that, so I've got to sort of like look at the world a bit more for what it is. And I learnt it, I figured it out, and I'm so much better off for that.
I think for me, now that you're on the subject of crutches, I think for me what happens if I've had some drinks or something is I'm less bothered about appearing stupid. So I relax and that then helps me talk more and say more. I know people who know me will be like, what, you don't want to say things, or you shy, and people often take that extreme view of my personality, but to you. But yeah, I think what I do like about a couple of going out to parties, a few drinks, it's like, hey, let's all we're not worrying about how clever we are right now.
Hopefully not.
And so that kind of, it's kind of, because I'm not even in all this just to put the arrogance confidence thing to it. It's like, I don't think I'm supremely clever. It's more like this association with and that's embarrassing to even, for me, having this part of the conversation and say, like, talking about why you're confident. It's like, because everyone told me I was clever when I was little. It's a funny I now feel as a grown-up that I need to sort of prefix that with something like, please like me, even though I'm being cocky about cleverness. Do you know what I mean?
And I think, when you're in your own bubble of your own brain and you think, oh, well, and you want to say, well, I am quite clever, you sort of feel, because that's such a kind of dominating attribute to you, you forget that, well, different people have different ones. So when they hear that, they'll be like, oh, well, that's cool, but I have these values and these things that I see in myself. So I think it's and I have that, I've had that with, I'm a musician, certainly, where because I have this feeling that everyone thinks they can be a musician and they're an idiot for saying it. And then I learned that sometimes if I come into a conversation and just say that that's what I am, like, no one questions it. And then it sort of leads to them thinking of you when they're, the situation calls for a musician. It's a weird thing. Confidence is a feeling, but you can't wait for the feeling of confidence before you do something. To build confidence in something, you have to act before you feel confident about it.
That's true. Yeah.
You have to go on that stage when you're terrified. You have to speak up in that meeting when you really aren't completely sure that you've thought of every angle of something. And then by acting, by practicing, by doing it more and more, by speaking on a podcast every week or whatever it is, jump in, just keep the only way to build confidence is to keep doing the thing that you want to be confident in. And for me, I have a slightly anarchic attitude to this, which is I'll just turn up on a live stream, things are barely plugged in, and I'll be completely unprepared, and I'll just be like, I'll wing it, I'll figure it out. But even if not, I'll know that what I'm getting out of that is I'm just figuring out what works and I'm building it. I think I make the mistake of showing people a little bit too much of the process of me getting from bad at something to good at it, or something going from good to bad to good. But you can't wait until you feel confident to start being doing confident things. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll just always you'll never
not
get
do
it
them
that way.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a practice.
If it was a physical skill like swimming, you have to start with one or two strokes. Yeah. You have to start with not drowning before you can get get to the swimming lengths. Yeah.
And you have to go through the you have to go through that. What's that curve where the Maya something? The curve where like you start off, you think you're amazing at it, then you realise how bad you are at it, and the sort of gap between your taste and your ability is so palpable that like a lot of people give up at that stage. But you have to go through a little bit of pain
and embarrassment.
Yeah, go through some pain and embarrassment to get to confidence. You can't just go straight to confidence with no. Unless you're a psychopath, or some sort of natural born narcissist, you can't get to confidence without going through some discomfort along the way. So that's my advice.
That's good advice, I'd say. It is.
Take it or leave it.
I think that's good advice.
Overconfident people, shut up.
Yeah. Check in with somebody.
Yeah.
Check in with somebody you trust. Did I speak too much in that meeting? Yes, you did. Did that make sense? No, it did not. That kind of thing.
Is this any good?
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
It is hard. And of course, you can't give people all the feedback in one go. If to the person being checked into, do sort of temper things. But yeah, I think but it's the trouble is that one of the ills in the world, as far as I'm concerned, is that the people that have the confidence without foundation are fucking too many things up.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening to our podcast. If you like it, go to grandpodcast.com. You can subscribe. If you support us on Patreon, you get the videos. You get them a day early.
Fancy.
Where can people find you on the internet, Ivanka?
People can find me at Ivanka on Twitter.
You can find all my stuff at goodtohear.co.uk and michaelforrestmusic.com. And come find me on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/michaelforrest. And that'll do. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.